Hello everyone, this is Heading Tian. Let's learn chapter 8.1 complex numbers. We have learned the imaginary number I. The I equals square root of -1. Therefore, if I square both sides, so I equals square root of -1. I square both sides. This square root and squared cancelled. So I squared equals -1. For the complex number, we have the form is a plus bi. We call this complex number. It has a real number part, a, and b. I is the imaginary number. All right, let's see basic concepts of complex number. A plus bi equals c plus di. So the a and the c, they are the real number part, so a must be equal to c. And bi equals di, so b equals d. All right, let's see first, next part. A plus bi is written in standard form. If a is greater than 0, then square root of -a equals I times square root of a or square root of ai. What's the meaning of that? If I have a square root of -i, I can rewrite the square root of -a into the a times -1. We have learned the property of radical numbers. This is multiplication. That means I can separate the two factors inside of the square root. And another part is square root of -1. Then we can have, so this is the I part. We have square root of ai. Or you can put the I in front, a times square root of a. Let's see first example. Square root of -16. So if I'm using the formula, I can separate the square root of -16 into the I times square root of 16. Or you can do this one step by step. So -16 equals 16 times -1. Separate the two factors, square root of 16, square root of -1. And the second part is I. First part is 4. So 4i is the solution. Next example, we can separate the 70 and the -1 part. We have square root of 70 times square root of -1. Then it is square root of 70 times I, because square root of -1 is I. Can we do something to simplify the 70? I know the 70 equals 2 times 35. And the 35 also equals 5 times 7. So none of these factors has the form something squared. That means I cannot rescue it outside of the square root. So we leave it like this. And how about next example, square root of -48. We can separate the real number part, 48, and the I part. We have square root of 48 times square root of -1. This is I. Then we're having square root of 48i. But we have learned that if I can simplify the square root of 48, let's do the simplification. 48 equals 16 times 3. So let's continue. We can move it here. That's square root of 16 times 3. I replace the 48. Bring the I down. And separate the 16 and the 3. Then square root of 16 is 4 square root of 3i. Let's see next two examples. Multiply or divide as indicated, simplify each answer. So when we are doing this, we are not using the method we have learned. Square root of a times square root of b equals square root of ab. We will convert the square root of -7 into the real number times I. So be more careful, because if you do not do this, you will have different solution. Okay, so let's only look at the square root of -7. Square root of -7 equals square root of 7 times square root of -1. Or we say the second part is I. And the next factor is also square root of 7 times I. Then use the real number multiplied by the real number. That's square root of 7 squared. And then times I squared. So we have 7 times, what is I squared? We have learned I squared is -1. So the solution is -7. Let's make it bigger. How about next example? So I remind you that do not do the multiplication first. For example, if I do the multiplication first, I have the square root of -7 times -7 is square root of 49 positive. And then this is +7. So it's different from our solution, -7. So do not combine them first. So convert it to the imaginary number. Then we do the multiplication. So let's see, square root of -6 equals square root of 6i. Square root of -10 is square root of 10(9). Real number multiplied by the real number, 6 times 10. I times I squared. So square root of 60, because 6 times 10 is 60. 60 equals 4 times 15. Why I'm looking for the factor 4? Because 4 is 2 squared. I can rescue the 4 outside of the square root. So I have 4 times 4 times 15. I squared, -1. Then rescue the 4 outside. We have square root of 4 times square root of 15 times -1. We can bring the -1 in front. Negative, square root of 4 is 2, square root of 15. So this is the solution. All right, let's see next example. We have only one square root of -48, one imaginary number, or the complex number on the top. So let's see. First, I will convert the square root of -48 into the square root of 48 times I, all divided by 24. So we have learned combine all the real number together, the top real number and the bottom real number. We have learned if I have square root of A over square root of B, combine the AB into one big fraction sign, a big radical sign, sorry. Then we put 48 on the top and 24 at the bottom, bring the I outside. So square root of 48 divided by 24 is 2. So square root of 2i. This is a solution. How about next one? Okay, we have the top, we have 2 square root. Square root of 10 is square root of 10, -10 is square root of 10(9). Square root of -5 is square root of 5i. All divided by 2, square root of 2. So 10 times 5, 50 over square root of 2. I times I squared. I squared is -1. Then we do the division. 50 over 2, I squared. Let's move it here. And we have square root of 25. I squared is -1. Square root of 25 is 5. So we have -5. So -5 is our solution. Let's see, addition and subtraction of complex number. If we subtract or add 2 complex numbers, we use real number plus real number if I'm doing addition. And imaginary number plus or minus imaginary number part. For example, if I have A plus BI plus C plus DI, use A plus C. So we have A plus C. And BI plus di. So we have b plus di. If I have the subtraction, we have a plus bi minus c plus di. So a minus c. And then use bi minus di. Okay, so we do the addition and subtraction of the complex number. You will also have the complex number. All right, let's see. The first example, number 8. If I'm doing the addition, so real number plus real number, 3 plus negative 2. And then plus negative 4 plus 6. Okay, use the parentheses. Use this number, which is negative 4. This is plus positive 6. You need to bring the sign with you. And then equals 3 minus 2 is 1. And then negative 4 plus 6 is positive 2 plus 2i. This is solution. And how about next one? Next one is the hard one. You have 3 complex numbers. So add all the real numbers together and add all the, or subtract or add all the imaginary number part together. So let's highlight a real number. So in the first parentheses, I'm having negative 4 minus 6 plus 2, because this is minus sign. And plus the imaginary number part, we are using 3. This is minus negative 7. So maybe we can keep the sign. Minus negative 7. Then plus negative 7. Don't forget this is I part. Let's do the computation. Next, 10 plus 2, negative 8. Plus, so here 3 minus negative 7 is 3 plus 7. Then minus 7. Then, so we have 3. So 3i. Do the computation, we got 3i. This is the solution. Let's see, how about the multiplication and multiplication? And also later we are learning division. When we are doing the multiplication, like we are doing the multiplication for the binomials, 2 binomials. So you have a plus bi times c plus di. So we FOIL it, a times c plus a times di plus bi times c plus bi times di. So we are having the 4 terms. If I can combine like terms, I do the combination. If these 2 can be combined, I combine them. All right, let's see the first example. I FOIL it. So 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times positive 4i is 8i. 2 times 4i, 8i. And then negative 3i times 3i minus 9i. And negative 3i times positive 4i minus 12i squared. Because I times I squared. Then we can combine these 2. 6 minus I and minus 12i squared. So what is the I squared? Negative 1. So put the value of negative 1 in it. So we have 6 plus I plus 12. Then we're having 18 plus I. Okay, this is why I'm having a plus sign. This is minus. Do not change the sign. This is minus. This must be minus. All right, let's see next one. This is a perfect square. Perfect square. So I can also FOIL it. So if you forgot how to expand it, you can do this. 4 plus 3i. Multiply by 4 plus 3i. And you FOIL it. By foiling, so we must have 4 squared plus 2 times 4 times 3i plus 3i, all of this squared. So if you follow it, you are having the same expression. We have 16 plus 24i, and then plus, so we have 3i squared. That means 3 squared times i squared. Then we can do something on the 3 squared, i squared. 16 plus 24i plus 3 squared is 9. What is I squared? -1. So that means 16 minus 9. 16 minus 9 is 7. 7 plus 24 I. So this is a solution. Let's see next example. Oh, this is conjugate formula. That's a plus b times a minus b. It is a squared minus b squared. So I don't need to follow it. I just write down the solution. That is 6 squared minus 5i squared. I box the b. We have 36 minus 5 squared, 25, I squared. And 36 minus 25, what is I squared? -1. So 36 plus 25. This is 61. All right, let's see the dividing complex number. Dividing the complex number is very similar, like we are rationalize the fraction. So we do not want to have a I at the bottom of the fraction. Or what should I do? Okay, if I have the I at the bottom, let me ask you, what is the I squared? I squared is -1. So if I can have I squared at the bottom, I don't need to worry about the I at the, there's no I at the bottom. How about I enlarge the top and bottom by I, multiply by I top and bottom. The top I have 3i. What is the bottom? I squared is -1. So 3i over -1. This is 3i, but this is negative. So we're dividing the complex number, get rid of the I at the bottom. Let's see next one. How to get rid of the I at the bottom? The bottom is 5 minus I. So like the previous example, number 12, you see, if I have the a plus b times a minus b, and the b part has the I, then we're having the solution no I. That means if I have the bottom, and the bottom first is, this is a complex number. First number is a real number. Second part is the I part. That means I can multiply by the conjugate of the bottom. So let's copy this question. 3 plus 2i. Multiply by 5 minus I. Multiply by top and bottom by 5 plus I. This is a conjugate of the bottom. Let's do the multiplication. The top is 3 plus 2i times 5i. The bottom is 5 minus I times 5 plus I. And the bottom is conjugate formula. Is a squared plus b squared, minus b squared is 5 squared minus I squared. There is no I part because that's I squared. And the top, we follow it. So 3 times 5, 15. 3 times I plus 3i. 2i times 5 is plus 10i. 2i times I is plus 2i squared. Let's do the simplification. The bottom is 25 minus -1, or 25 plus 1. And the top is, let's see, what is I squared? We have 15. I squared is -1. So combine the middle two terms, plus 13i, and then minus, because I know I plus 2 times -1 means minus 2. Then continue to do the simplification. 5 minus 2, 13. 13 minus 13i over 26. And the top, I can factor out the 13. We have 1 minus I. The bottom is 26. Top 13, bottom 26. They are all divisible by 13. Divide by 13, divide by 13, I got 2. So the solution is 1 minus I over 2. If I want to rewrite it into the form that A plus BI, so separate the A and the BI part, we can separate the two top numbers. We have 1/2 minus 1/2 I. This is A plus BI. All right, let's see the power of I. We have learned I equals square root of -1. And I first power, it is I. I squared, you square both sides, you have I squared is -1. I cubed is based on the I squared multiplied by I. So this is -I. And what is x to the fourth? Equals 1. Because based on the x cubed and -I multiplied by I, we have -I times I is negative I squared -1. It is 1. So please highlight this. I to the fourth equals 1 because we will use it very often. We continue to multiply the I based on the I to the fourth. We have I to the sixth, -1. I to the seventh equals -I. I to the eighth is 1. If I continue to do the multiplication, find the greater power of the I part. So you will see I to the fourth is 1. I to the 8 equals 1. I to the 12 equals 1. I to the 16th equals 1. So you see, if the I is the power of the I is the multiple of 4, the solution, they are all 1 because I to the 8th is I to the 4th, then square it. So we already know in the parentheses it is it is 1. 1 squared, it is 1. I to the 12th is I to the 4th, then cube it. So this part is 1. 1 cubed, it is 1. I to the 16 is I to the 4th, and then to the 4th. It is 1 to the 4th. It is 1. That means every time if I see I to the multiple of 4, so the solution must be 1 because I can convert this one to be the I to the 4th, then 1000 power. Then inside of the parentheses we have 1 to the 1000. It is 1. So remember that the multiple of 4. I's power is multiple of 4. The solution is 1. Let's see first one. I to the 15th. This is not the multiple of 4. Can you convert it to the multiple of 4? Yes, I know that I to the 12th times I cubed equals I to the 15th because a to the m times a to the nth equals a to the m plus n. Now I have m plus n is 15. I can separate the two factors, which is a to the 12 times a to the nth. Now I have this. So why I separate the 15 into the 12 and 3? Because 12 is multiple of 3. 12 is multiple of 4. I want to make an easy one. So the first factor, x to the 12th, is 1 multiplied by x cubed. So x squared equals -1. X cubed is, so both sides multiplied by I is -I. So we have 1 times -I, -I. Okay, let's see next one. We have a negative power. We learned that every time we see a negative power, we will flip the the number to the bottom, I to the third power, because we know that flip it to the bottom, raise it to the positive power. Now, let's see, what is x cubed? We mentioned the x cubed here. We have learned x squared equals -1. Both sides multiplied by I is negative I. So we have negative I. But we have mentioned we cannot have a bottom I. So if we got a single I, or 2I, 3I, 4I at the bottom, multiplied by I, top and bottom of this fraction, we can multiply by I, multiply by I. The top is I, bottom is negative, I squared. I squared is what? -1. So I over negative 1. This is I over 1, which is I. Okay, so let's see next part. I to the 30s. I to the 30s. We need to break the power 30 into the multiple of 4. So what is that? 28, I think. And another factor could be I squared. First factor, x to the 28 is 1. And I squared is -1. So the multiplication is -1. So this part is very similar like the college algebra. Okay, we're done for today. If you have any question, please let me know. Have a good day.